everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Wowhead Weekly number 116. No show last week, so we have a huge show this week all about patch 7.25 and a few things from live servers. But before we get into all of that, I would like to introduce my lovely co-host, Wowhead site manager, Perculia.
Hey everyone, since I was away, we had patch 7.25 start, so we have lots of cool info like time walking and transmog competitions and dance parties. And let's get right into it.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. So patch 7.2.5 went up on the PTR and we got a bunch of patch notes. And there's a lot of fun stuff in the patch, but there was a lot of serious stuff in the patch too, because 7.25 has more class design and balance changes than 7.2, with a huge focus on Destruction Warlocks, Outlaw and Sub Rogues, Brewmaster and Mistweaver Monks, Havoc Demon Hunters, and Guardian Druids. And then on top of all of those changes, which you can read about in detail on Wowhead, we also saw changes that affected multiple classes, like Smart Heals like Wild Growth and Holy Word Sanctify will now favor player targets over any non-player target regardless of health. And for tanks, things like Demon Spike, Shield of the Righteous, Iron Skin Brew, and Shield Block can now only be extended a maximum of 3 times their base duration. So you're going to be seeing a lot of class and balance changes, not only if you're one of those classes we mentioned, but there's been, almost every day, there's been a new post on Wowhead about a specific class and spec that's being changed.
They've been really busy on Discipline Priest a few days, and like Brewmaster's had this really long ongoing thread. Blizzard's also been really good this time about getting the notes up, at least in the Battle Blizzard launcher, right before the data mining starts, so you can see like what's officially the changes coming for the class if you don't want to trust the data mining or think it's incomplete. So we always repost those on Wowhead, but if you want to see the source, if you go to the PTR version on like the Blizzard app launcher and you go to options patch notes, it will show you all the official notes there. So the patch is mostly, they said it was a patch that wouldn't have as much content because the raid we already tested, even though that's coming in 7.25, and it was mostly all these class changes, really meaty changes. But there's a few they're calling it small content things, but they're really popular.
They're not small.
So they're definitely getting bang for their buck.
Yeah, nothing
about
I know that
this is kind of huge.
It's not small. I actually just finished filming a video today that's like 39 things about 7.25. And like multiple times I was like, this isn't a very big patch. And I'm like, you know what? It actually is though. Like I understand it's not like one of their, named patches per se, like Tomb of Sargeras is 7.2. But it is a big patch. And it's not just bringing with it the stuff we haven't gotten yet in 7.2. There's a lot coming, including probably the most popular one, which is time-walking raids. Not only are we going to see time-walking Black Temple, but we're also going to see a bunch of OG world bosses.
Which is interesting because if they're going to be in the outdoor world, does that mean that Blizzard is working on more of their scaling tech in old zones? Like, if the world bosses can scale you up and down, could you, in theory, maybe quest at different levels in the future together? Like,
I hope so.
That would be cool.
I would really like that because right now I feel like it's so difficult if you have a friend who's first getting into World of Warcraft now, because like at this point, if you've been playing for, even if you haven't played since vanilla, even if you're someone who's played since BC or Wrath, or at this point even Kata, you probably have in the double digits of characters. It's kind of like a lot of people are not starting level 1s these days, is all I'm saying. So, like, if you have someone who is fresh coming to the game, it feels like, oh, I'm going to make this throwaway character to level with them for a little while, whereas it would be so nice if you were able to scale down to their level and play on your main and get rewards that maybe you
Plus
haven't
it opens more storytelling options because, Broken Shore worked well because each zone, like the events happened at the same time. They're independent storylines. It wasn't like, well, like first I do this like baby activity, then like I grow up and I do this medium zone, and then when I'm strong I do another zone.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of Azeroth's quest line is dictated by like having to do things in a sequential order. And like if you're level 90 and going back, it doesn't make sense to be doing, like killing boars. So I think that if you could do all the old zones in whatever order, and maybe like it would be less like, oh, I want to do like the Night Elf theme zone versus like, well, now I have to do like the intro, then the middle, and the end zone. It could open more flexibility for storytelling in the future because I think a lot of people liked the Broken Shore story and they tend to skip over the Azeroth stories, and people should be doing more of the Azeroth stuff. There's tons of zones that people just skip over.
Yeah, well, not only that, but it's like the way that experience is gained has changed over the years. So leveling up, you skip a lot. And it would be so nice.
Especially with heirlooms.
Yes. And I remember when I first started playing World of Warcraft, I did not grasp the concept that you didn't have to do every quest. I didn't get it. And when it was explained to me multiple times, like, well, you don't have to do everything. And I just kept saying, but why? Like, why wouldn't you? I don't understand. And they're like, right. Oh, well, you're not going to get as good of experience. I'm like, that doesn't make sense if it's part of the story. Like, why, So I think the idea of scaling tech being used in the old world would be amazing. And I love seeing more and more examples of them clearly having the technology to do it. And it's just a matter of how and when and, with what finesse they'll deploy it when they do decide to deploy it. Because I don't think it's an if. I do think it's a when.
Yeah. So, we're getting Black Temple. It's the first time walking raid. The loot will be eye level 850 if you are level 110.
It should be better than that. That's very low.
It could be changed in the future. They always, have scaling knobs. All of the loot looks like the Black Temple gear. Mm-hmm. And since, Demon Hunters and Death Knights and Monks weren't around, they have new pseudo tier 6 sets for those classes to collect, so they have something. Yeah. But this is the coolest news by far.
Oh yeah,
I was so excited. So the demon hunters can earn transmoggable warglaives. You can. Yeah, so what you have to do is you have to earn the actual glaives, get the legendary achievement on any character on your account, and then defeat Illidan on time walking difficulty, and your demon hunter will get this item. And the achievement name is "I'll hold these for you until you get out." And it's super cool. And if you don't have the warglaives, you can farm them on your, weekly basis, your warrior, your death knight, monk, rogue, and demon hunter, because the progress for that achievement is account wide.
Yeah.
And that's super cool. It's the only legendary we know of that will be able to be mogged. I feel like we asked the devs about this at a Q&A, being like, hey, what about demon hunters and warglaives? And they were like, we'll see.
Well,
I feel like we asked them.
So what gets me about this is that I truly do not understand why they would limit that transmog to only demon hunters, being that, this was something that back in the day, rogues were very proud to have. Technically hunters, but, warriors. Like, there was other classes, and I feel like it's a little odd to me that the only people who can transmog it are people who weren't even there the first time around. That just...
I think that's where the achievement name comes from. Like, I'll hold these for you until you get out, being like, hey, demon hunters, all your other characters did the work with the achievement, but you get to use them.
No, I get it. I get it.
It's good that it's account-wide progress, at least, because I don't have the glaives on my demon hunter, but I have them on my rogue, so at least I feel positive. At least I feel it's also similar with how outlaw rogues get the Thunder Fury artifact appearance, even though Thunder Fury was also a really good tanking weapon, and I'm sure the warriors felt sad that they can't transmog to Thunder Fury and only outlaw rogues can.
Yeah. Well, it just seems weird. I feel like if they're gonna start allowing legendaries to be transmogged, I guess I've never been a big believer in the types of restrictions that are on legendary transmog or legendary pieces regarding transmogs. And then it's just strange to me to come in and only let demon hunters have this, or have outlaw rogues can do this skin but no one else can. I just feel like, I don't know, let people.
I feel like this goes back to the mount and the pet conversation we had a few weeks ago. How it's like, Death Knights get special pets when they get their class mount, but Demon Hunters get a Pepe, and Druids don't get anything. And it seems that Blizzard very clearly wants to go down this path of giving everyone cool stuff and not having it be all equivalent.
Yeah.
So I think we're being why do Demon Hunters get a Pepe? Why do Demon Hunters only have one shade for their mount? And now it's they might not get a ton of cool class mount rewards, but now they have these warglaives.
Well, I think what gets me about it, though, is for somebody I haven't, obviously, I'm not talking about myself in this situation, but if I had theoretically mained a rogue since vanilla and, was the person in my guild who got the warglaives, I would be really bummed that, it wouldn't be my rogue who could show that off, is all I'm saying. It's not really necessarily about specific classes. I just feel like the people who did put in an effort a long time ago are not necessarily the people who are going to benefit from this. because
Right.
you
Well, I
can
mean, at
still
least you
get,
can roll Demon Hunter. Like I'm in that position you're talking about,
yeah.
and like I keep the Wargos in my bag because I like using them. And yeah, I would prefer if my rogue could be running around with them, but at least with this achievement, my
Yeah.
Demon Hunter can get them with low effort. Like if they were
Oh,
like,
sure.
"Hey, your Demon Hunter is forced to farm up the glaives," I'd be like, "Ugh," like
Ugh, yeah.
now my rogue feels bad. But it's better than we thought.
Yeah, and I also think that
Yeah.
this opens the door for a lot of situations where, like, if they're allowing this now, what will they allow in the future? Because this was a hard no a couple years ago, and now it's like,
Right.
oh, well, maybe, yeah. So I'm definitely interested to see what other changes will be made because of allowing something like this, which is very cool. Like, let me just say, all of my critiques on this are not really complaints; they're just critiques,
Yeah.
and that's it. Because I think a lot of people are really, really excited about this, and this was something that from the moment Demon Hunters were announced, people have been asking about Warglaives and how Demon Hunters can acquire them. So I think that's awesome. And we talked a little bit about this as far as Black Temple, but it's going to be between 10 and 30 people per group, and you will be scaled down to level 70 with your gear being eye level 141. Like Perk said, there will be additional drops for monks, death knights, and demon hunters since they weren't around back in Black Temple times. And then on top of that, we're also getting some world bosses. Now, this is part of a limited event, and while we don't know it's the anniversary, it could possibly be the anniversary event.
Yeah, the way it's worded is like, it's like, oh, like we always know strange things happen at this time of the year. And there's a quest called The Originals, and that rewards 25 Time Warp badges, and that's the same amount you got for doing the anniversary quest last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's related.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the wording is like, long ago, great terrors walked our lands and drove even the smallest to flights of heroism. I speak, of course, about Lord Kazakh, Azurgos, and the Dragons of Nightmare. Legends have it that so sought after were their treasures that armies would camp overnight to hunt them down. We have felt disturbances in the timeways, coincidentally located where these giants once roamed. Would you mind investigating for us? Strange things happen during this time of year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is super cool. Like, when I was, finding the quest and sharing the info, people were, like, just as amped about this as they were, Black Temple.
Well, that's because I feel like this was a very vanilla thing, and it's not often that they throw back that far. So I think people are just excited to see. Like, honestly, as someone who didn't play in vanilla, I didn't know Kazakh was in vanilla WoW. Like, I didn't know that he was, like, a part of the lore in that way. Just didn't know. So
yeah,
I think it's something that, especially when you're talking about the green dragons of Nightmare, that, like, we see... We've got a lot of stuff like that with the Emerald Nightmare and stuff, so I feel like it's a good throwback. It's a good time for the throwback, and if you did play in vanilla, I think any time that something is brought up that you're like, oh, I get that reference, I think that it's like this real feeling of nostalgia and excitement.
Yeah, so just to sort of wax nostalgic on this, it's actually, to me, it's super cool because I started playing in vanilla, and I was like always trying to get into a better guild, and I eventually ended up in one that, was doing well in Nax, but like when everything first came out, like I was not in the group, I was not being called to join the Green Dragons farming group at 4 a.m. Like I was always trying to get in with a friend, and they were messy and it took me forever to kill them. And, I wasn't the person that had enough DKP to win the loot. And when I finally did kill them, it was this huge deal. And I remember farming the dragons for their cool loot when it was announced they're going to be rooting Cataclysm. And they were really mean. Like, for the Green Dragons, they all had these, like, when you died, you got this debuff that lasted 15 minutes, and when you rezzed, the abilities, like, would hit you for harder, and you would be, like, slept in a fog for 2 minutes instead of 4 seconds. For Zeragos, you had a Mark of Frost debuff where you would, just turn into ice.
Yeah.
And, like, it's just like that. Like, you couldn't graveyard Zerg it because you would just be out of the fight for 15 minutes. Or if the fight would go on for half an hour, then maybe you'd be okay. But it was just ridiculous, the types of things people had to do to defeat these bosses. And while people didn't think much of the loot at the time as far as, transmog, when they were removed in Cataclysm, people suddenly were like, oh, like, this sword looks awesome, and, these legs match, this perfect plate bikini, and all these cool things. So I'm also excited about the transmog. Like, the Nightmare Blade and Emerald Dragon Fang look really cool. And I remember farming those for, like, all of, I think, like, Wrath with my friends just to get them because I like collecting pretty things. And
yeah, now you
people
have
can
them
get
and
that
you'll be able
too.
to transmog them. Well, you could transmog them
Yeah.
already, but that's still really cool. It's still really
Yeah.
cool. And then, okay, so this was one other weird thing that's kind of related to that, even though we don't have any
Yeah.
information on it. Stream, is the audio a little bit better now? I turned myself up a little bit. I didn't think perk needed to be turned down, but I
Okay.
wanted to know if it sounds a little bit better. Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
So the next thing that I thought was worth mentioning was that also in the data for 7.2.5 was this quest version of Invincible's Reigns.
Yeah, I'm really curious what that's about.
Same.
It has funny flavor text, like it's kind of trolling
Yeah, it says
us.
the infamous mount of the Lich King is sought by many collectors.
Yep.
Well,
So
it makes me wonder if there is going to be, maybe this is going to be part of a time walking ICC.
yeah, maybe like you loot the invincible ring quest item and you turn that in for time warp badges.
Yeah. Oh, I
That
didn't
would
even
be
think about it.
neat.
See, I definitely considered when I saw this, I thought that it was going to be, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of people who've been farming something like Invincible a long time. Like, I feel like everybody has Ashes of Alar that's farming for Ashes of Alar, but like a lot of people farm
Yeah.
for Invincible and never get it. It still seems like the drop rate is very low, and there's a lot of people who farm for it that don't get it. And I feel like while I know there'll be people that are upset if they do something where they allow you to do a quest to get it, I don't think there's
I
anything wrong
see.
with it because it's almost 10 years old at this point. Like it's so far beyond being current content that it's laughable. And you know,
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I'm 100% for people being able to put in an effort for something that they want. And if it's 10 years later, I can't really complain that they're allowing other people to get it even if
Right.
they didn't necessarily,
Yeah.
farm 1,000 times because the
Yeah.
thing is
But
with a
this
luck.
was so speculation. Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
this is
Sorry.
for sure. This is all speculation, and
Yeah.
this is something. What really got me about it was that after seeing the transmoggable warglaves, it seems like there's so many things that they said like hard nosed to that all of a sudden are becoming yeses. And I know that there's no guaranteed drop. Like even though they say it's a 1 in 1,000 drop rate or whatever, it's not like you'd run it 1,000 times and you definitely get it. You could run it 3 times and get it. You could run
Right.
it 4,000
Yeah.
times and never get it. So I almost wonder if this is gonna be something where maybe it's a quest that you go run it, I don't know, a lot, maybe like 25 times. And then,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I mean, we know nothing
Right.
about what this quest item is or anything like
Right.
that.
Or it could be some interesting lore thing because I know a lot of people are up in arms about the Unholy Determination achievement where the Death Knights are like at odds with the Red Dragonflight. So, and people are like, what is Bolvar up to with his orders and why does he hate dragons so much? So you never know if maybe like this is related to some Lich King character development as well. I mean,
Yeah.
we just had the Endwind Compass, which we'll get to when we talk about 7.2. So who knows?
Yeah, I'm very interested in seeing what that's all about because it's just so kind of like random, I guess. But I think one of the things that everybody is most excited for in 7.2.5, or at least what I'm most excited for in 7.2.5, is the new Trial of Style, which
This is so cool. I was just
thing.
trying
It's
it out on the PTR a little bit before
and
this.
I did not see this coming at all. So we've got a video up that's going to kind of show it off. I've got the music disabled so that it doesn't, get overwhelming with all the sounds or whatever. But essentially, there is a new weekly transmog competition coming in 7.2.5. There's a theme every week, and there are all sorts of themes. There's like summer style, there's epic purple, there's
Faction Pride.
there's faction,
Fire and Ice.
there's so many different ones, and essentially you can talk to any transmogrifier in a main city to be brought to the scenario, which takes place in Magister's Terrace. It's called the Mog Walk. You talk to the NPC, you sit down in the barber chair, and you make the best transmog you can in the given amount of time for the theme, and then you're ported to a stage where you pose and give it all you got, and then players actually vote on your transmog and other transmogs, and at the end of the event there are 3 winners crowned, and they are given tokens which can be redeemed in Dalaran for special transmog gear.
Yeah, and that's super cool. And what I think is fun is that when you zone into the special transmog area, everyone's in a smock, so you can't see what other people are wearing and, cheat.
That's
And I
amazing.
think it's also cool that in addition to selecting your transmog, you can also modify other aspects of your character. So, for example, I was doing a faction pride transmog thing, and you can change your title. So it's like, oh, I'll obviously put on, of the Alliance title. And you can also, like you mentioned, change your barbershop. And, I feel for classes that have like crazy hair colors or demon hunters with tattoos, you can really enhance your transmog
Yeah.
by changing like very visible parts of your character.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
And like I also think that's a good idea too because there are certain hairstyles that look good and bad with different helmets and shoulders. Like one that I'll never forget and I don't know why this stands out to me as such a vivid wow memory, but I think it's tier 8. Is that the mage tier that's like gears and they turn and the helmet is like a mask and then it's got like spikes that go around the
no,
back?
that's Kieran Tor. That is like the eyes on it and the pantsuit. Tier 13 maybe has the gears. The Dragon Soul one, I think
Oh,
that's
you know
called
what? I
like
think
the
I'm
Time
merging
Lord
two
set.
tiers together. I feel like it was the one
Okay,
you were just talking about. Anyways, that looks amazing with pigtails. And I feel like pigtails looks stupid on everything else. But because of the way there are
right.
cutouts in that helmet, it looks perfect with pigtails. So I think it's really great that they allow you to change stuff like that as well because I think it makes a big difference in the aesthetic of what you're wearing.
Yeah, like, and if you're doing a mog for the Heroes of Azeroth one, like pigtails might work for the summer fun achievement, but for Heroes of Azeroth, you probably want a more
It's more
serious looking
serious.
hairstyle.
Yeah, no, I think it's
Yeah,
really cool and I'm very excited to, try it out. I will definitely be participating in this all the time and it makes me more motivated to go back and get more transmogs because, I tend to be the type of person that I have like 2 or 3 transmogs that I switch
yeah.
between.
It's like you want like your favorite look, and then it's like, I don't have actually anything that fits Alliance. Like, oh, I have to go get this for a
Yeah, no, and
totally different
I really
style.
think that this is a fun and silly incentive that a lot of people are going to participate in. I really think this is awesome. And this was something that my guild actually, we used to do like weekly, what was monthly transmog competitions. And like, granted, they had themes that were a little less PC. But this was something my guild used to do, and it's something that we had fun organizing. And I think it's really neat that they're adding it into the game. And I also think it's neat that they're bringing you back to like Magister's Terrace to do it. Like, that's such a perfect place. And
Yeah, and the Blood Elves have really funny names as well. And I'm curious to see what we can buy with the Mog tokens. We've been data mining various things like rhinestone, recolored rhinestone sunglasses or some ensembles for some Burning Crusade dungeon pieces. But I don't think the vendor's up on the PTR yet for us to confirm what you can actually buy with the tokens.
would be cool if
So
this is how they introduced like legendary transmogs. Like, you have to
that would
win a
be cool. That
transmog
would be very cool.
competition in order to like earn the right to transmog
Yeah,
legendaries.
like 10,000 tokens you can mog the
So good.
legendary.
Granted, that is just ridiculous speculation, just to be clear. But I think Trial of Style seems really cool, and I'm definitely going to be participating in it. And since we're on the topic of transmog, this is a perfect transition because another change coming in 7.2.5 is that the appearance collection tab will now include holiday cosmetic items, many of which can now be transmogged during their respective holidays. So I actually made a ridiculously long, image gallery because there's a lot. For Noble Garden, you'll be able to transmog the pink spring circlet, the black spring circlet, the spring circlet, and spring robes. Hollow's End, the hat of the third sister, second sister, and first sister. Wintervale, the finely tailored green and red hats, the gaudy Wintervale sweater, and also the green and red winter hats. For Fire Festival, you'll be able to transmog the helm of the Fire Festival, the vestments of summer, the sandals of summer, the mantle of the Fire Festival, and the crown of the Fire Festival, which is actually already transmoggable, but that is neither here nor there. Love
Yeah.
is in the Air. You'll be able to transmog the Forever Lovely Rose, the lovely purple dress, the lovely black dress, blue dress, red dress, the purple dinner suit, blue dinner suit, red dinner suit, the elegant dress, and the black tuxedo pants. For Pilgrim's Bounty, you'll be able to transmog the Pilgrim's robe, Pilgrim's attire, Pilgrim's hat, Pilgrim's boots, and Pilgrim's dress. For Brewfest, you'll be able to transmog the purple Brewfest hat, blue hat, green hat, the brown hat, the Brewfest boots, Brewfest slippers, and Brewfest dress, as well as the Brewfest regalia. For the Lunar Festival, the festive blue pantsuit, teal pantsuit, the regular festive suit, the festive black pantsuit, the festive purple dress, pink dress, and the festive green dress, and the festive dress. And for Bloodsail Reputation, you'll be able to transmog the Bloodsail Admiral's hat. So I'm not sure if this is for Pirates Day or what that's all about, but that's a thing. And what really stuck out to me through this whole thing is that you cannot transmog the Vile Fumigator's mask, which is, in my opinion, the best piece of gear that you can't transmog.
It could still be incomplete, because to me it's kind of strange that you can only transmog 3 out of the 4 Hollow's End hats.
Right.
So here's hoping that we can transmake the Vile Fumigator's mask.
Yeah.
Also, just one note, so this is definitely an improvement, but it's a mixed blessing, because these items will permanently go into your appearances tab, but you can only transmog to them during their respective holidays. Yeah. So if you're someone that just wants to put the bunny ears on in the middle of August, you still need that item in your bag, because you won't be able to just transmog to the bunny ears anytime.
I think that's okay, though. So, I don't really think that that's a terrible thing.
Right, I know,
Yeah. And this was a question I saw on Twitter that actually kind of surprised me. People had asked if it was something where, if you left it mogged, would it stay mogged, or blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, it obviously only works during the event. That's definitely how they intend this to work. So at the end of the event, it will no longer show that transmog. I assume it would revert back to the item's original look. Right. But this was something I actually looked, because I feel like I said it and you were present. Did I or did I not say in an interview one time, wouldn't a better solution be to only allow people to transmog during that holiday? I looked.
Yeah, I feel like we said that in a BlizzCon interview.
Yes, I looked through all of our BlizzCon interviews and couldn't find it.
Oh well, but yeah, my concern was more people are I'll free up all my bag space, but you won't actually free up your bag space if you want to just put these items on all the time.
Yeah,
so,
if you are someone,
I mean, it's not making things worse, but if people are I'll free up my space. Oh wait, I feel like people are going to take these items and delete them or put them into the appearance tab and then be oh no, now I can't actually use them.
Yeah, now you
all
can't
the time.
Just put it on.
Just be careful.
Yeah. That's a fair enough warning. Although I still would say that the majority, I feel like 95% of people are just cool with the fact that they'll be able to transmog it during the holiday. And for someone like me, I don't know that I've put any of those items on since I got them. It was I tried them on and was oh, I have to go do world things
I just use them on my bank alts, really. So, my bank alts will wear them all the time, but on my max level characters, it's just oh god, this thing in my bag, shoo, go away.
Yeah, well, it's I feel like I'm constantly, and there's so many of them that you can't put into void storage for whatever reason, and I feel like even with all of the transmog stuff, I still have a struggle with bag space, bank space, and transmog and void storage space, because void storage is so limited as to what you're allowed to put in it and what you're not allowed to put in it. But okay, so on top of the Trial of Style, on top of all of the new transmog items that we talked about, on top of Black Temple time walking and Old World Boss time walking, also coming in patch 7.2.5 is a new event thing that is the Auction House Dance Party. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, this isn't exactly the dance studio, but we're getting a dance holiday. It's something.
Yeah, it's something.
So this is a micro holiday. So it's not a permanent thing. There's no permanent rewards. But what will happen is that the Stormwind and Orgrimmar auction houses will be turned into a party, and there'll be a light-up floor and disco balls, and the announcer will periodically teleport all the characters there of a certain race onto the stage, and you will start dancing, and you can use all your toys to look silly, and there will be music, and it looks amazing.
So what I think is really cool about this is that a big complaint about micro holidays has kind of been people don't even realize they're a thing before they're over, right? Because they only take a day, and they're out in scenarios, they're out here, they're way out, and you have to travel to get to them. I love the idea of them doing a micro holiday that people are sort of forced to interact with.
It's really in your face. It's bright neon flashing in your face.
Yeah, and I think it'll bring awareness to other micro holidays as well, but I think this was a really cool I don't know. I think this is really cool. And this is, if they're going to do micro holidays, in my opinion, this is the best way to do them. Because it is so in your face. You can't miss it. Everybody's going to kind of be talking about it. Like, what is going on at the auction house? Like, what is happening? You know what I mean? So I feel like this is exactly how micro holidays should be. If they're not going to have permanent rewards, they should kind of force it down your throat in that way.
Yeah, be really like disruptive and fun and different and bring people together and create a fun memory.
I don't feel like any of the micro holidays you should have to like seek out. I feel like, it should
I think it's okay. You maybe just have a breadcrumb quest in a major city, but I think it's okay if you have to go do something in an area that you previously ignore.
I agree with that. Are there breadcrumb quests right now for like the hippogriff hatchlings? Or
I'm not,
because I'm
not sure. I remember the Silithus one was a little difficult to find.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like all of them should have, like, I don't know, maybe a piece of mail. Like, everybody gets a mail when there's a micro holiday
I think that's a good idea.
Just to, like, tell you. Because I feel like people would participate in them. It's just so, like, I feel like you have to be in the know. And a lot of times I know about them and still forget about them because they're so not evident when you log in. It's not popping up like, this is a thing you can do.
I feel like I think it would be cool if there was a breadcrumb quest that also gave you some hints as to how to get to the place, because I think patch 7.2 went live and there was that Murloc micro holiday off the coast of Borean Tundra, and if you're a new player, you won't know that you have to like take this boat to get to Borean Tundra or go to Old Dalaran. Like, I just would be like, hey, like, by the way, instead of the store, like, go to Stormwind Harbor and take this boat.
Or even if, like I said, if they included a breadcrumb quest or a piece of mail that gave you an item that teleported you to wherever it was, or something that like you said, that gave you some serious hints as to how to get there. I just feel like, why put all the work into these holidays if you're not going to kind of like ensure that people do them? And I feel like with the auction house dance party, like, as ridiculous as this is, and I understand it's ridiculous, it's so cool the way that it's going to be something people talk about. Like, this is going to be something that's, you log on and this is happening. You're going to be like, what is going on? This is so cool. So I think this is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see the cool transmogs and like toy combinations people create for this. Like, like, people will just be ridiculous with either like skimpy mogs or a bunch of toys that make them sparkle on the dance floor, and people are gonna have fun. Or like, what's gonna happen is if they're dancing and then people use the piccolo with the flaming fire,
or the Moonkin statue,
or the train set that makes everyone do the train emote.
I think it's super cool. I think this is a really good way to do it. Now, in addition to all of this silly stuff, there's actually non-silly stuff as well. I know, shocking. There is a Chromie quest line, which is possibly going to be before 7.2.5. It might be a lead up. We're not sure. But there is some sort of quest involving Chromie. She's under attack from multiple sources, and you have to go find her, and there's reputation with her, and you get to like pick her talents, and it almost sounds like it's a tower defense, like a dungeon defense type scenario where you have to protect Chromie.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like this could be an answer to Withered Army training, where it's a fun solo scenario with some lore behind it, but if you're picking talents for Chromie, it implies that like maybe you could spec her to be like, I don't know, a tank if you're a healer, or like more of a healing support if you're a tank.
Or maybe you don't do it at all. Maybe you control Chromie the whole time. Like,
we can't actually try this out. We just data mined a bunch of the dialogue and some of the quests and like related items. And it seems that you track down different chrono shards from each dragon shrine. And Rathian is referenced as being in the Obsidian Dragonshire. So he's returned in some form. The dialogue implies he's not doing anything obviously evil. He's just kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Typical.
And then you go back to different periods in time to assist the various Chromies that are being attacked all at once, and those are places like the Well of Eternity and the Plague Lands, and there are a few others. And Chromie, she just sounds really cute. Like, she's asking Alexstrasza if she needs any help, and she calls Alexstrasza Allie, and she just has a really fun tone. So I would be interested in a different type of solo scenario or challenge, especially now that everyone has their Withered Army stuff, and it was, at the start it wasn't really as fun for some specs as it was for others.
I don't know what you're talking about. I think it's cool. And there was another one, I don't think we have this listed on here, but there's another there's another event that's possibly coming before 7.2.5 as well. That's a scenario with Magni Bronzebeard.
Oh yeah, so Magni's
Azeroth's
been
warning.
back in various forms. He's alive, as a piece of stone, and he keeps coming back, like in the priest class Mount Questline, and yeah, he seems to be. There's some data mine 725 stuff where he's back and doing stuff. So hopefully, as soon as we can test that, we'll have a video for that as well.
Yeah, and it's like I said, we're not sure if those are coming in 7.25 or if those are some sort of lead up quest to 7.25.
Yeah, I think Chromie is in 725, especially if it's a scenario that or a challenge that you will likely repeat.
Yeah.
I think it will be in 725.
Yeah.
But the Magni stuff seems like it could be a lead up because we've had lead up quests several times before now.
Yeah. Also coming in 7.25. This is, see what I mean? Like, this is not a small patch, guys. Is a new pet battle dungeon. This one is in the cute. Dead Mines, and I have a little video of that too. I think pet battle dungeon. Oh, this isn't a video. This is just previews of all of the things involved. But this is a new challenge for those of you guys who have already completed Wailing Caverns, and you defeat bosses that are in the style of Dead Mines, which ends with cookies leftovers. There is a regular mode, and that rewards you with a portal to Westfall, and the challenge mode rewards you with an old bottle cap currency that you can use to purchase new pets. There's also a bag that you get that's called, like, Smeeze.
Oh, I think they removed that. I think that was in the first build, and they decided that was too RNG. So instead of the bag that has the random pet, you get the currency, and then you end up buying the pets like the Celestial Tournament.
Perfect. So I made a video where I misspoke about that immediately. Perfect. 10 out of 10. But yeah, so there's the last frame in here is a little cannon, and that's one of the pets. I think it's called like a pocket cannon or a pocket rocket.
Yeah, it's really interesting abilities as well. Like, these pets are, there's only so many times you can just kind of reuse the same abilities, but these have interesting things with charges and different move sets. So, if you like theory crafting pets, these will be fun to collect.
Yeah, there was also some information about Gnomergon in 7.2.5, and I saw some speculation initially thinking that it might be a new pet battle dungeon as well, but it seems now like it's going to be a different thing that's maybe a micro holiday or some sort of quest line or something that's called the Great Gnomergon Race. We have no idea what that is, though. Like, it could be like related to the running of the gnomes. We have no idea.
Yeah, we data mined some placeholder NPCs that are called, like running of the gnomes finish credit, running of the gnomes starting line. And we did find a quest that was called Running of the Gnomes, but there's not a ton of info about it yet.
Yeah, well, so, we'll find out soon enough, but there's so much new stuff coming in 7.2.5 because on top of everything else we've already talked about, there's also another micro holiday called the Moonkin Festival. It's
so cute.
Yeah, it's a micro holiday that takes place in Moonglade where you basically, it's celebrating all things Moonkin, and you go to observe.
Baby Moonkins.
Yeah, baby Moonkins, and they're napping and dancing and just kind of being adorable, and you have to complete a quest where you save them.
Yeah, like there is some quest implying that like their caretaker or one of them, like the satyrs have they've done something and you have to rescue them, and there's dialogue. It's so cute. They're like, I want a berry, like, feed me, take care of me. I love you. You're the best. You're so awesome. I love you. They're so cute.
Even
and then
grown-up Moonkins are cute, but baby Moonkins are really cute. Am I the only person? So I have a little Moonkin pet, and it's like named after. Well, he's not even a Moonkin anymore. He's a Warlock this year. But does everybody name their Moonkin pets after a Moonkin in their guild, or is that just me? Because mine is baby binary, babinary, babinary. But yeah, so I'm excited about that, and plus I think it's going to be adorable. Especially someone's going to drop that Moonkin statue. Everybody's going to be Moonkins on Moonkins on Moonkins. But yeah, so that's
it sounds so cute.
That wraps up about everything.
We need a Pepe holiday.
We do need a Pepe holiday. I can't believe there hasn't been a Pepe holiday.
We have we've had a baby Hippogriff holiday, and now we have the baby Moonkin Festival.
And the baby Murloc holiday, too.
We need,
baby
we need the origins of Pepe. I know, that would be so cute, like the origins of Pepe.
Please, Blizzard. Please. So, yeah, moving on to actual 7.2 stuff. This is going to be spoilery, so I will throw a spoiler tag up for you guys so that you aren't concerned. So if you do not want spoilers for quests that are currently in-game, please mute and look away for a moment. There'll be a spoiler tag that will go away once it's over. But right now we are going to take a look at the Anduin cinematic. This is part of an Alliance quest line, and we'll talk a little bit about it after it is done playing. So here is that.
Here. This is where his father fell.
The boy has never known the horrors of the Legion as we have.
No. I haven't.
Anduin.
How could you just leave?
I had to come here.
My boy, you don't need to see this.
You never surrendered. Even here, at the very end. I cannot do this, Father. I can't be the hero you were. I can't be the king you were.
Anduin, your father's actions were indeed heroic. They were his challenge to us, his people, to never let fear prevail, even at the very gates of hell.
What am I supposed to do now?
What a king must do.
So, Perk, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay. So, I thought it was awesome. I mean, I play Alliance. I know you play Horde, but the first time we saw Anduin, he was this little boy with the basic low res kid model, and we watched him grow up, and he wasn't totally fitting into his role of being a king. And I think the cinematic was really important in getting across, like, him becoming mature and a young adult that understands the responsibility. And, just like, when he gets that, he picks up the weapon and it starts glowing. It's just like, wow, like this is so epic. It was really touching.
Something that was pointed out to me, because I did a reaction video on this, which I went into it with very little context because I obviously do not play Alliance. Yeah. And something that someone pointed out to me was that whatever that weapon is, it is the type of weapon that chooses its wielder and not the other way around. So the weapon glowing for him was very important, and it signified, his rise to power kind of, and that the weapon had chosen him. And a lot of people also thought that it might be a turning point in the story where Anduin maybe takes on a subclass in a way, becomes a paladin.
I think because he was a priest, and I feel like he's, now this is sad, I don't feel priest stuck, but on a literal level, he's using a type of weapon that that priests cannot use and paladins can.
Yeah.
And it seems like a paladin would be a fitting role. He's not going to be this, full-out warrior gladiator like his father was, but it seems like, he's filling this protector role where he's, relying upon the light as a source of protection versus Varian. And it's really touching how it's, his father's weapon, and now it's passed down to him. And I remember in the Son of the Wolf comic, I'm not sure if that's on the same timeline or if that's a little slightly alternate reality, but in that comic, the sword was always just sitting around, and Anduin was not actually using it. It was almost like he wasn't good enough for the sword.
Yeah.
So I don't know if like maybe that's slightly outside of canon that he had seen the sword before, but I think, you know, it's the same symbolic thing, how he didn't think he was worthy of his father's footsteps, and now, you know, through his actions and reflecting, the sword has chosen him and he's using it now.
Yeah.
And even going outside of the whole cinematic, the whole quest line leading up to it, I thought was very touching, because you start off by finding the battered trinket in the ocean, which we saw Varian lose in the Legion cinematic, and we bring it back to Anduin, and it starts this whole cycle of grief and then reflecting, which I thought was very believable. It wasn't just like, oh, I found this trinket, you know, I'm going to be a badass now and go out into the broken shore. Like he sort of was inconsolable, and he hid himself, you know, for a while, and then he went to the cathedral to reflect, and then he disguised himself, and he walked all around the city as people were saying his father was awesome and him maybe not so much, and then he snuck out to go to the broken shore and, you know, kept reflecting on things. So yeah, it's a really touching quest line, and I know a Horde are like, oh, like, where's our cinematic? And I think Blizzard's rationale is that the Horde in the pre-launch had that extra cinematic where Vol'jin talks to Sylvanas, so this is like the special bonus cinematic.
Yeah, I don't think it's really
Alliance.
that people are like, oh, where's our bonus cinematic? It's that we have a very strange leadership situation right now that has not really been dealt with. Like,
well, maybe 7.3, you don't know.
yeah, and I'm sure it will be. They can't just like leave it open-ended forever, but like, Sylvanas is sort of like the acting war chief, but like she doesn't have a whole world of loyalty behind her. And there's still questions about Vol'jin as well. Like, I know there's still a lot of people who believe Vol'jin isn't dead, or maybe he's like a spirit walker, or just other things.
I feel like the Alliance was not totally in that position, but it was a similar thing, like, you know, like Varian has gone missing, and like Bolvar is, you know, leading in place while Varian is missing in action, and like, you know, Onyxia in human form is sitting in the throne room, and you know, at that point, Thrall was the war chief, and that to me seemed more stable than the Alliance. So maybe things are now flipped.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people who have felt, and this is something we've talked about in past expansions as well, is if the Horde and Alliance would ever unite, if there would ever be a point where the lore would bring us to a point where we needed to like combine forces in order to take down a bigger evil. And I saw a lot of comments on the Anduin cinematics saying that if any king could ever unite the Horde and Alliance, it would be Anduin, because he's just this very empathetic, this very...
Yeah, like he's friends with Rathian, who was, you know, not everyone's best friend in Mista Pandaria.
Yeah, well, and he's just he's almost like the free spirit, free thinker of a very stuffy, conservative sort of generation. Right. You know what I mean?
Also, 7.2 is all about the classes working together. And I think in one of the Q&As, people were asking, like, oh, you know, we're going to prioritize Alliance and Horde, and Blizzard was saying that they weren't. And this was all about the classes working together for a greater evil. Yeah. So this seems to be the time where we're not going to have, you know, faction squabbling right now.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So I like can't really like watch that cinematic because it makes me extremely sad, which I actually had to explain to people on the internet why I would feel sad about that, because like people are like, you don't play Alliance, why would you care? But it's like, it's empathy, people. Like, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you feel sad. Someone's sad about their parent dying. That makes me sad. Like, I don't know. So like the cinematic itself was very emotional, and I feel like this is just another example of Blizzard doing a really good job of, even if you don't have a lot of context, you can take a lot away from that. Because I didn't go into that having done the quest or having known much. And even in the first 30 seconds of the cinematic, I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. But by the end, I very much knew what was going on, or at least had enough of a grasp to get the gist of it. So bravo to Blizzard cinematic team, because they've been really hitting them out of the park lately. And it was a great cinematic.
Yeah, it was really touching. So, and you mentioned the Horde was in like the state of flux, and they kind of still are, but the day the Alliance cinematic came out, Blizzard published a short story about the Horde, which is called Dark Mirror. And it reflects on the humanity and the relationship of Nathanos Blightcaller. And it starts off with flashbacks to the time when he was a human and Sylvanas was the Ranger General and sort of their dynamic. And then it goes to the present day where Sylvanas is doing this dark sacrifice for Valkyrie ritual to restore him to his human form. And if you've been paying attention, you do realize that Blightcaller looks more human in Legion than in the past. And it raises a lot of questions about like what exactly is the nature of their relationship, and do Forsaken feel emotions, because like they very clearly are feeling regret, and Sylvanas is she raised him back when he was a mindless undead, and she did this ritual so he would have more of a human form, and even some of her generals are making jokes about it. So it's I found it pretty interesting. I don't know if you read the story or if
I did not read the story yet. I'm going to. I just haven't yet.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was interesting, especially to get a glimpse of Sylvanas before she changed, and how you could see that some aspects of her personality stayed the same. Like in her previous form, she was this very savvy political leader, and she was using her charms, and she was like not manipulative, but she was kind of pushy and kind of coy. Yeah. So it's interesting to see how like she's retained some of those aspects of her personality in Undeath. She's still playing this political game. She still is using her charms. She's doing unconventional things that she feels will benefit her and her sense of power. And yeah, I think it was interesting, and I thought it was cool that Blizzard, had this big backstory behind, this guy's model change in game.
Yeah, for sure. And I intended on reading it, for the record. I was going to read it before the show, and it was much longer than I thought it was going to be. It's like 20 pages. It's like pretty long. So I just didn't want to like skim through it and then not really like, absorb it. So I just waited. But yeah, so that's going on for the Horde. We had the cinematic for the Alliance. As far as what's going on actually in game, Noble Garden is going on right now, and there is a new pet that you can get, the Noble Garden bunny, spring bunny, the Noble Garden.
Yeah, it's so cute.
Yeah, it's a little pink bunny.
It's like this little. Yeah, it's cute. It looks really cute with the. You can, wait, not the actual pet, but as you're opening the eggs, you can turn into a bunny, and they look really cute and creepy if you're a demon hunter with the wings. Yeah. So you turn into a bunny, and then you jump off a cliff. Amazing.
Also going on right now is the Gravity Lapse version of Eye of the Storm, which is the weekly Battleground Brawl. I did do the Battleground Brawl for Winter Arathi Basin, and I thought that was a blast.
Yeah, that was fun. I like doing that.
They're so ridiculous that it feels so much less like stressful and competitive.
I know, it's sort of like, we're all new here and kind of clueless, so let's just have fun.
We're all noobs here. So that was fun. And then also the bonus event for the week is the World Quest bonus event, which if you're like me and you don't have flying yet, I'm very close to having flying because of this, because you get extra reputation for doing your World Quests. So if you're doing World Quests on the Broken Shore, you're getting bonus reputation.
Yep. Before we move on to the next thing, just another quick note about Noble Garden. We were talking about those cosmetic transmoggable holiday items, and they'll only be marked as transmoggable in 725. Yeah. So, collect them now. Like, don't be like, this spring circle isn't marked as transmoggable, I'll ignore it. Just collect it now, and then in the patch it will show up as transmoggable, and things will be good.
Yes. Hunters are pumped about this for sure. I'm going to throw this over to you. Oh, crap. Wrong button. There's you. Okay. And then let me take the spoiler tag off, and we'll put the hunter tag on, and we'll take Dark Mirror off. Okay. So there are some new hunter teams since the last time we spoke.
Yeah, so credit to Wowpatopia and the Discord secret finding community for finding these things and tracking them down. There is a pet in Stormwind and a pet in Ugramar. There is the Lost Spectral Griffin, and you click on an egg in Stormwind by the Flight Master. And then there is Gon, who is kind of like a lightning spectral raptor, who is by the Warlock area in Ugramar. And I believe you have to be in Beast Mastery spec, and then you click on the spectral object, which spawns nearby, and the hunter tame spawns. So those are some pretty cool tames. And there are even more ones. I think last time we talked about Fenrir, who you can tame in Mythic Halls of Valor if you solo some bosses as a hunter. And people have been finding even more tames, which you can't tame now, but you will be able to tame when you get your class mount and power ascended. That's the Feathermane family. And there are all sorts of like cool griffins and wyverns and wolfhawks and other things. And I think people are still trying to track down a corrupted hippogriff pet that is Elisan's pet in the data. So that would be really cool to see what, ends up happening, because Elisan really didn't like the Legion. So it's like, how did her beloved pet become corrupted? And maybe there'll be a cute storyline or something behind it. So yeah, thank you to all those people who tracked down the pet and, shared taming tips on Wowhead and uploaded cool pictures.
Yeah, for sure.
So
also going on right now is that, well, okay, no more spoiler tag, but also going on is that the Secret Finding Discord also found the Riddler's Mind Worm, which you have to find pages scattered all around the world in a very specific order, and the clues were inspired by the cosmology chart in the World of Warcraft Chronicle.
Yeah, that was super cool. Do I have the book? One sec.
Mine is put away. Finally, it was out on my desk for a really long time.
1 second.
We're waiting.
Okay. That kind of made a mess, but I think we're good. Okay, so no, that isn't it. Okay, here we go. So you can wait. There we go. Yeah. Okay, so you can see how it's like light at the top, and then there's void at the bottom, and there's like the Emerald Dream, and there's arcane magic and the Shadowlands, and each clue was related to a different section of the map, and the page numbers, which seemed random at first, actually started spelling out the ISBN number of the first volume.
That's really cool.
That was really cool.
That's really cool,
and
but
hopefully
also
it inspires more people
totally ridiculous and amazing.
Yep.
That's amazing.
And it was really funny because Muffinus, who is the designer behind it, was like going into the Discord, and he would make jokes on his Twitter, being like, oh, like they're on the right track or they're on the wrong track, or, just, kind of being a troll, but also hyping people
kind of
up
egging
and getting
people on a little bit, but also being slightly helpful.
Yeah.
Typical.
So, awesome job, everyone who worked together on that. I was actually flying home on that day, but I was popping in and seeing their progress, and it's a pretty cool mount.
Wait, no, you were flying out, not home. Oh, home as in, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
It's like you flew home last night. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a pretty cool mount. It's the only mount that has that model currently. It's kind of like a Cloud Serpent, but scarier. I believe there'll be recolors of it that drop in the upcoming raid, but currently it's the only one that has a really cool mount special where it sort of like hisses at you, and it looks cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see. Next thing is the Wormtongue treasure chest. This is kind of cool. If you completed the Spiders quest line, you eventually will unlock the permanent vendor treasure master. It's rigged. And he will sell Wormtongue keys for nether shards. So this is kind of like gambling for nether shards. You spend 2,000 nether shards to open a chest which can contain anywhere from 1 to 100,000 nether shards. And it can also contain a pet named Scraps or a Pilfered Sweeper toy, which is super cute because if you have a cat pet out, the cat will sit on the sweeper.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And, yeah, it is so cute.
That's amazing.
And if you are like, hey, that sounds familiar, it is, if you remember Timeless Isle, the Master Kukuru Hosen there had a similar setup where you would give him timeless coins, and then he would, you could open them for more timeless coins, or the pet named Bonkers. So that's a thing that's going on. There's also a related world quest where you get like a key that's pretty discounted. So if it's up, make sure to do that, and you can basically gamble and get something for free. And
shut me down.
Aw. Let's see.
Also, the Champions of Legion Fall are open now. You can unlock your new class champion and increase your active champion cap. When the quest line is finished, you will have rank 7 and rank 8 order advancement open, and you must have completed your quest line for the 3rd relic slot first.
Yeah, and they've made that a lot easier in 7.2 because the missions required only take an hour now.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good, and I think some of the other requirements were nerfed as well.
Yeah.
So.
Oh,
yeah.
This is exciting. So Wowhead has a contest going on right now.
Yeah, this is like our 7th straight year of doing this type of contest, which is really exciting.
Yeah,
it's the Noble Guardian Egg Hunt.
Yes.
So, yeah, basically we have 10 clues, and you try to guess what database pages they're on, and when you find the database page, you are entered into the giveaway. And you can enter up to 10 times, and the really cool part is that we have another computer to give away again from Origin PC.
It's a nice computer, too. It's not... Like,
yeah.
They're giving away a computer right now, and the one that you guys are giving away, that's Origin PC that you're giving away, is way better than the one that they're giving away right now. Because it's a sick computer. It's got, like, an i7 and a 9... I think it's got a 980 in it. Or a 1060.
Yeah, it's super nice.
It's a
we have all the
computer.
specs up on the page.
It's the type of computer you could play pretty much any game on Ultra. It's a really nice computer. And there's also like all sorts of other prizes too, like World of Warcraft mounts and pets and pins from BlizzCon and gear shop stuff.
Yeah, pins of us. You can get their BlizzCon pins. They're like special limited edition.
Which are the ones that you see underneath me. I have our 2 avatars. Those are the pins. Blizzard made them. I don't know why.
Also,
cool.
this. Huh? Oh.
I didn't say anything. Well, this time.
Okay. I was going to say, oh yeah, it's open internationally. So, I know sometimes we have to be restricted because of the nature of some contests to be in the US only, but, feel free to enter. Digital rewards are obviously international, but, things like the pins, we made an effort to have them be international as well this time. Yeah. So, yeah, that's very exciting. It's only only runs a week long. So you only have a few more days to enter. People are leaving really helpful hints in the comments. So if you're stuck, take a look there.
I keep finding them on accident. Just like, I know I can't enter the contest. It's not like that. But I was just like doing a bunch of downloads today. Like I was downloading pictures and doing research for the video that I was doing. And like kept coming across pages. And I was like, oh, I found one. Oh, I found one.
Yeah, we tried to have a few easy ones. So, like, if you don't read the news, but maybe you look at the database and you have this, like, achievement pop up, you'll be like, whoa, like, what is this? Let me find the other clues now.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah. Oh, this is exciting, too. So, we haven't had a discount code with Jinx for about a month, and we haven't had one with Blizzard Gear for a couple weeks because of their gear shop issues.
Yeah,
and
sorry, we
it's okay.
crashed the site.
Listen, it happens. We did crash the site. I finally have gotten all my orders. Like, I got my last order today. It was like in 6 deliveries. It was ridiculous, but that's my own fault. So we currently do have a code with the Blizzard Gear Shop. It is code WowheadMay, and that will give you 15% off of all Warcraft products. And I don't know what they are yet, and I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to say this, but I'm a rule breaker. I know there's some new stuff coming out, because they're sending us stuff that gets here on Monday, and we're not allowed to show it till Tuesday. So if you're ordering stuff, you might want to worry because there's something good coming out on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I have a feeling it's real exciting. So that's awesome. 15% off any Warcraft product, which is a really good discount. Then Jinx also has some new Warcraft and Hearthstone stuff, and they also very generously gave us a discount code.
I really love this Druid, like the whole Ysera shirt that's over in the corner on that graphic. It's so cool.
I love the Blingtron shirt. The Blingtron shirt is amazing. There's a couple new things that came out from Jinx, and right now they gave us a code that's 20% off all Blizzard products using code Wowhead, which is, again, 20% is a big discount. If you're even if you're international, that's usually cutting most of shipping off. So yeah, these are both really, really good discounts. So for Jinx, it is code Wowhead, and for Blizzard, it's code WowheadMay, and those will both give you discounts through May 31st, which is the rest of this month and all of next month. So, before we get into our questions for the day, I do want to take a moment to thank our subscribers, which were Truly 2, Ghost Triple T, and Sakar. Thank you guys so much for subscribing to us. We really, really appreciate it. Just as a reminder, guys, if you are subscribed to us using Twitch Prime, you do have to manually resubscribe every month. It will not auto-resub you. And also, I would love to hear you guys' suggestions about what our next emotes should be, because we have, we're really close to unlocking some new emotes. emotes, and Twitch also announced some stuff this week that once you've unlocked a tier, it will always be unlocked, which we've actually unlocked higher tiers and didn't upload the emotes in time, and then because of Twitch Prime, it fell off.
Good job, us.
So we're awesome at this. But so yeah, we're going to be having some new emotes soon, so I would love for you guys to send tweets to me and to Perculia with your ideas for, thank you so much to Pernicus for subscribing. We appreciate that. Also, thank you so much to Swiftamore for subscribing. So yeah, we will have new emotes soon. Our most recent emotes, if you check out our little emote thingy in Twitch, we have a new Murloc and we have a Hogger that were made by Ascot Hero. So we're really excited to have some new ones made, and we're trying to reach out to different community artists so that it's not all just one person.
Yeah, get some variety.
We have like a little bit of a variety of styles and stuff. I think that's really cool. Also, a couple weeks ago, we did introduce some new badges. So if you are subscribed to us on Twitch, you'll notice that badges are different colors now. They increase based on how long you've been subscribed. And the best one is legendary, and I think it's for 2 years. It'll be legendary, and then there's epic below that and rare. Oh my gosh, thank you so much to Carmadin for subscribing as well. We really, really appreciate that. Also, thank you so much to Esmer2, Dragon, and King Murgle for cheering us on Twitch, which is like tipping, I think. I'm really good at this Twitch thing, if you can't tell. But yeah, thank you guys so muquick for supporting our show. We really, really appreciate it. Do we have any questions from the live audience?
Yep. So, Quiv Adrogus asked, did someone in Wowhead get to the Peach or Transmog holiday with the blues? I did a bit, and I actually got some pretty cool ideas on how we can improve the dressing room to let you, save and tag outfits that would be appropriate for a certain style. So,
cool.
So you could be like, like when I go to save it, maybe a little thing could pop up being like, is this for the trial of style? Like, select the theme from the drop down, and then people could filter.
That's cool.
So that was cool. Sakar asked, how do you guys feel that Anduin is going to develop...
You're back. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know why I did that. How do you guys feel that Anduin is going to develop after seeing his new cinematic? I think we covered this a little bit, but yeah, I think he's going to be more of like a paladin role and more of a like peacemaker and working between the factions as opposed to, being like more hot-headed or like only, like for the Alliance. So I feel like him becoming more of a king during this Armies of Legion fall, like cross-faction, cross-class effort will bode well for him.
Yeah.
And I'm not totally sure how he's going to fit in with the Son of the Wolf comic, because we already established that the weapon was handled differently in game versus Son of the Wolf. And at the end of Son of the Wolf, he's like super old, and they're talking about him like doing the final fight for the Legion. So I don't know if that's going to fit in, but it seems like he'll be around for a while and not getting himself, off and murdered with some political.
No, and I wouldn't. The only way he could really be murdered at this point is if he were like assassinated, because he's not like Varian, where he's an upfront warrior. He is, he's going to be more calculating and behind the scenes and strategic, and I think he's going to be a big source of inspiration from here on out, because I think people can always kind of relate to tragedy, as like terrible as that sounds, but having lost his father and it be so public and having to step up into this role, like I feel like people are rooting for him, and I feel like
also the horde with the Sylvanas, like she's like estranged from her sisters, and when she tried to reconcile with Verisa in the War Crimes novel, like Verisa like eventually is like, I can't do this, I can't rule with you. So I feel like maybe Sylvanas would not be, I don't know, like maybe, like, Sylvanas was soft in that Lament of the Highborn questline, so maybe she could understand the idea of loss and family members. So
she does. I understand that Sylvanas is undead, but I also definitely feel like she has a lot of humanity left in her in that way, and I feel like she would definitely...
Like, it's twisted.
Yeah.
Especially with that short story, how, like, she made an effort to preserve, this fallen, human that she clearly had a lot of feelings for.
Yeah.
So Lone Samurai